Welcome once again to the Mask Fan Attic, my fellow Halloween lovers and mask fanatics. Say, do these look like left-handed scissors to you? I can't really tell. Well, it's not important. I'll give myself a haircut later, because now you're here, and I know the reason you come up here every week is because you want to see a cool or otherwise interesting old Halloween mask. And got a really neat one here for you this week. Well, they're all really neat ones. Yeah, we don't do Mask Fanatic segments on weak masks. We only do segments on cool masks, such as this little baby called the Veridian skull. What? Yeah, Veridian. Now, if you want to look this up on, eBay or one of the mask or costume websites or collectible websites, you'll need to spell it like the folks at Don Post Studios did when they released this one. And that spelling is V-E-R-I-D-I-A-N, V-E-R-I, Veridian. And that's kind of weird because really there's no such word as Veridian. I think what they meant was Veridian the color, which is a shade of green, even though it's not quite, this isn't really Veridian green. Veridian is bluer green than this. But anyway, that's V-I-R-I. Okay, so if someone just says Veridian and you know that word, you might spell it that way. But if you want to find the mask, spell it V-E-R, because that's how Don Post spelled it. And yes, indeed, it is a Don Post Studios release from 2012, right before Don Post Studios closed its doors forever, or at least until now. The 2012 catalog had a great many new masks that never went into full production and never made it to all the major stores and catalogs and so forth, one of which was the Veridian skull. Now, there are some differing opinions on exactly how many of these were made. I don't know either. Nobody does for sure. The jury is still out on the quantity of Veridian skulls made. All they managed were some production copies and some samples to go to conventions and such to show around. My best guess, this is just me, okay, I may be wrong, but my best guess, I would say 6 dozen. That would be 72 masks, which may sound like a lot at on face value, but if you consider that there are nearly 7 billion people on the planet, well, that's nowhere near enough for one per person. If there are only 72, right? Can't argue with that. Now, if you're a Don Post fan from way back, you may recognize this basic design as the same classic Don Post skull that was out many, many years, starting way back in the mid-1960s, and was featured prominently in the movie Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and was actually featured in some other movies, including, hang on, The Redeemer. That was one. But anyway, it's true. There is a movie called The Redeemer, and it has this mask in it, a white version. Don't look at me like that. It's true. Also known as The Redeemer, Son of Satan, I do believe. Where was I? Oh, yes. Anyway, the story on this guy is that it was issued, again, very low numbers. Never went into full production. But it was issued in the catalog as part of the Back from the Grave series, which was a collection of older Don Post masks being reissued, which might lead you to think there had been a Veridian skull before, but there actually wasn't. There was a vermilion skull, which was red with white teeth traditionally, and was later renamed Blood Skull in a slightly different edition. But the Veridian skull isn't really a Back from the Grave because they never really made this version, because this, as you can see, is this very bright, very impressive, very fun and Halloweeny, glowy, neon, fluorescent, bright green. And if you're thinking you saw a bright green one many years ago somewhere, you may be thinking of some of the photographs of the glow-in-the-dark version that they used to make. Now, the glow versions, some were made of glow-in-the-dark vinyl, some were made of black vinyl, sponge painted with glow-in-the-dark paint. Various, again, variations were various variations, yeah. Various variations were released of the glow skull, but the glow skull just had that general, really cool, beloved glow-in-the-dark color, which is sort of beige with a hint of green, and then if you would turn off the lights after putting it close to a light bulb for a few hours, you would see it as a green glow. So you'd have a green glowing skull. Now you may have seen pictures from the old catalogs that looked like that, but there wasn't actually an edition that was bright green like this. And the reason this one came along at all is because Don Post Jr. was looking for something to issue specifically for Mask Fest, for attendees of the Mask Fest convention. And he thought about some different things and different editions, and he just wanted to do something specifically, exclusively for Mask Fest with a different paint job, something new and unique. And didn't really think of anything right off the top of his head that he thought was great. This was around 2010. Eric Austin, the guy who runs Mask Fest, suggested, how about a neon green skull? How about the classic skull, but green? And Mr. Post actually didn't think much of the idea at first. He's like, another skull, green. But after Mask Fest, he went back and had one made like this color, and gave it to Eric Austin the next year, by the way, and everybody loved it. And Post himself had to admit that, yeah, when you see it in person, it's pretty great. So he decided to re-release it as an edition for collectors, and it would have come out in 2012, except as I previously mentioned, that was the end of the line for Don Post Studios. Now let's take a quick look at what the Veridian skull here looks like under blacklight. Meet me back here on this other side of this cheesy scene transition. And it's just that easy. Now I would hasten to point out that this is not actually glow-in-the-dark paint that will glow in total darkness like the glow skulls. That would be phosphorescent. This paint is fluorescent, or as it is now called commonly, neon. Isn't really neon. The neon, the element, is not in there, but well, it's called neon because that's what it looks like, because it glows wonderfully in the presence of a black light. How great is that? I love this thing under black light. It's really amazing looking. Now again, these very small numbers, and I should mention also that this was made in vinyl, not latex. So if you get your hands on one of the actual Don Post Veridian skulls from 2012, you will have a vinyl mask rather than a latex one. Not that that matters to a lot of people, I just thought it would matter to some of you, and so I would be remiss if I neglected to point it out, you see. So check eBay and the various mask websites, and maybe you can score one of these very cool Veridian skulls, or maybe you can get one of the reissue Don Post Halloween 3 skulls that Trick or Treat Studios came out with in 2014, and have somebody paint it with fluorescent green paint, and you'll be pretty close to this, right? Anyway, wonderful, cool thing, the Don Post Veridian skull. Get one before it gets you.